welcome back to the concession stand. I'm your host, LeBeau and today I have with me Sydney.
Hello.
Hi. What movie we're talking about today, Sydney?
Today we're going to talk about Iron Lung.
Yes. Uh,
Very excited.
yes. Why don't you introduce the movie?
Introduce the movie. Okay, so this movie was released January 30th of this year. So this is the second. So last weekend. Yes. And it's completely independent. There's no mainstream like distributor or any studio really behind it besides like the person who made it. It was done on a very small budget of only 3 million, which is very low for nowadays. And it's directed, starring, and written and co-written by very famous, one of the still top YouTubers, Markiplier. He's from the golden age of YouTubers, and he's still going strong. I think he has like 30 million subscribers. I've not looked at him.
Something around that. I think maybe 39. I can't remember.
Yeah,
I
it's
looked it
high.
up, but
Yeah, I always forget. And so yeah, he did it and like worked with the guy that wrote the Iron Lung is based on an indie video game, and he played it, of course, on his YouTube because he does gaming content mainly. And he got really into it and then reached out to the guy and said, "Hey, this would make a great movie." And they've been working on it for the last 3 years
Mhm.
before finally they put it out in the theaters. And like I said, no distributor would take them.
Mhm.
Nobody wanted that. And so they just were like, okay, we'll reach out personally. And then on his YouTube channel, he was like, yeah, this is what's going on. There's probably going to be at 50 theaters. If you want it in your place, you're going to have to contact your local theater and they'll contact us for it. And it blew up because Markiplier fans are very dedicated and
Mhm.
everybody was really interested in this film. And so it now went over 3,000 theaters in the US, and then it's reached hundreds, if not 1,000 or so theaters worldwide. And so it opened last year. Not entirely worldwide, but a lot of countries. Like in Australia, UK. Uh, I have it pulled up here.
I think I saw some places in like North Africa or something.
Yeah, I want the international. Thank you. It's been in Denmark, Finland, Germany, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Sweden.
Dang, that's
That's what's been reported so far. I've heard of some other. I think he was talking. He talked on a live stream. He said he was like going into France.
mm. So
So yeah, there's a couple of countries that are now getting it.
did he not get it? Did he shop it
He
out and not
self
get a distributor, or did he just
he distributed himself
decided
basically. His
like,
team would get contacted by the theaters after fans reach out to their theaters, and then they reach out to him and they would get copies to them.
yeah, I was just curious. I was just curious if he shopped it out first and then got
He
rejected. And
did,
he's
and he got rejected.
interesting.
And which is really interesting in particular with Amazon because he has done a show recently with Amazon.
Hmm.
And so he've worked with them before, and then some other places have done films with YouTubers.
Hmm.
Um, as far as I could see, not many of them have done like very highly. They're not very much like not very like film oriented. It's more
Hmm.
kind of more trendy.
Yeah.
I think there's been one or two that are more filming, but they didn't quite get enough momentum behind them. But yeah, he got rejected from everybody. They were like, nah. I think it was kind of we're in a downward spiral in Hollywood with marketing, so I'm sure they were like, we don't want to put any money behind you. But yeah, but he put it out, no marketing besides just him posting online with his YouTube channel and his socials, and then people reposting it. And it opened, and it was fighting, it's still fighting with the Hollywood film that came out and that was distributed by Disney, Sam Raimi's Send Help, which is another
Hmm.
horror film, and those were neck and neck the whole weekend. And Send Help, and I mostly am contributing this to more theaters because it came out more theaters. It barely inched just over it. Because yeah, so weekend wise, yeah, it Send Help opened with just over 18 million, and it's slow season right now, so that's really
Hmm.
good. And then Send Help opened with 19 million.
Yeah.
So just barely. And it's mainly because Send Help. You can look at it on like certain sites stuff. Send Help got into Mexico, and Mexico is a high place for places like China and Mexico are very high places to get box office numbers for films made in the US.
Hmm.
And Lion Long has not gotten into Mexico yet, but Send Help is, and that got a huge chunk,
Interesting.
but which is really interesting. But yeah, but they've been fighting it out neck and neck, and Iron Lung has managed to like beat it out for like number one day for like they kind of switch like almost every other day.
Hmm.
And so they've just been right behind each other this whole time. So far, Iron Lung worldwide has made over 30 million as of today, which is
Yeah.
the 7th.
Yeah. It's insane. Uh, he kind of reminds me now of a modern George Lucas.
Yeah, it kind of feels like that a bit, where it's just kind of like it's just kind of this crazy idea that like it's like similar things have been done and stuff, but not quite this like dedicated and like
Hmm.
in the world kind of thing, especially nowadays. Like I've seen the film, there's no like modern references. There's nothing in there to very like connected to our world and stuff. It's very much like Star Wars where we're in this universe and that's it.
Hmm.
And we don't get that as often nowadays.
So I wanted to talk about um like comparing it to some other the box office numbers from some of these other
Yeah.
YouTuber horror movies because in 2024 there was a movie called Shelby Oaks,
Mm,
and that
I've heard of that. I didn't see it.
me neither, but it was just in the zeitgeist of different like you know the YouTuber backed and that kind of stuff, and it's by this guy Chris Stuckman, who's like one of the largest movie review channels on YouTube.
Okay.
So he has a passion for cinema and like um, initially it was crowdfunded on Kickstarter.
Mm.
Then he got distribution, and I think it only grossed like I need to look this up, but I think it grossed like 3 million. And so just like
Not a lot for a film.
yeah, no, but I mean it wasn't that expensive either. But and then another one came out last year called House on Eden.
Hmm.
Have you heard about that one?
That one I heard about while researching more about Iron Lung. I
Mm-hmm.
will also say I don't particularly go and watch horror. I
Mm-hmm.
will watch a good thriller once in a while if someone tells me like it's really good and stuff, but I don't particularly like going to like horror movies. I'm not a
Mm-hmm.
big fan of like a lot of jump scares or like a lot of gore,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of funny considering this movie. There's not
Yeah,
there's I will say like we'll talk about like I'll talk briefly about what I thought of the film, but like there's not actually that many jump scares and the gore is kind of just at the end and
it's just a
it
lot of
wasn't too
dread.
it's a lot of dread.
Yeah,
You feel like you are in that submarine.
I'm excited, honestly. Like, but yeah. So with this other movie, House on Eden, like I was very curious about like combined audience for Call Me Chris and Selena Spooky Boo. These two, like,
Oh yeah, that's why I've heard of it. I know Call Me Chris.
yeah. So they made this horror movie, and it was classically distributed. It was a very small budget. You could kind of tell, uh, and it was found footage.
Mm,
Um, and it only opened. It's so strange. It's like combined, these ladies have like 76 million followers.
mm-hmm.
So it's like twice the audience that Mark has. And these distributors, like,
Probably a lot of overlap.
yeah, and these distributors only gave him 600 screens and maybe like
Mm,
a week.
mm,
And it's just like, it I don't know if it says more about Mark's audience or just execs not knowing what the crap they're talking about.
I think with the way that this film has blown up. My opinion on it is partly like it is Mark's fandom, like the way that they followed him. Because like I said, he's been a YouTuber since like the beginning of like YouTubers and stuff.
Hmm.
Like I follow him. I don't watch him like religiously, but I will watch him once in a while if it's a video that I'm really interested, or if there's certain playlists of like him playing this game, or
Hmm.
especially him playing Uno with his friends that I'll turn on
Hmm.
like during my lunch hour to like have a laugh or something. I'm like, I don't play horror games, but I watch someone else do it because it's funny.
Hmm.
But like, yeah, so his fandom's been very dedicated. He's done multiple projects. I know he's done a couple. Like I said, he did that one Amazon TV show, which I think is called Edge of Sleep.
Hmm.
He's done a couple other like projects. He did that. He did like a YouTube show when that's first started up,
Hmm.
and so they're very dedicated. They always help him with his sponsorships. Like they're very in there. And when they were calling theaters saying, "Hey, put this movie in here," like I have at least this many people that want to go watch it,
Hmm.
some of the theaters called like when they contacted Mark and his team, they said turn off the AI bots that are hounding us. And they're like, he's like, those are not bots. We didn't buy any bots. These
Yeah.
are legit people. And yeah, it got so big that like Regal and Cinemark and AMC and a bunch of other theaters officially brought it on.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think a part of it is that, and then with the rejection part of it, and like in comparison to other YouTubers not getting as much, and I think it has to do with what the film is,
Hmm.
because it is a very craft oriented film.
Hmm.
Like it's a good story, it's good characters, everything, but because it's like it's mainly one person, it's one location pretty much,
Hmm.
and like all this stuff, and like the way that like it's done, like especially like cinematography, sound, and things like that,
Hmm.
the more crafty parts of filmmaking, I can see why some people would be like execs and stuff would be like, well, this isn't, we are kind of the tail end of it, but execs are still focused on IP and
Hmm.
how popular something is. It something we've already done? Is it something that's a sequel to something? Like they're still oriented on that. And so when they're seeing something that's really new, really original, I can see how it could scare a lot of them and be like, well, we have to make money because we're losing money,
Hmm.
and they're not willing to take risks in a lot of area. And so this is an interesting point for this film to come out and be completely independent after being rejected and stuff in this thing, especially like with how much it's made in February
Hmm.
of all, like in late January to February, because this is slow period. This is not a lot of film. This is where people stick films that they're not sure about,
Hmm.
and they don't need to make a lot on, and they're just
Yeah.
like, yeah, this is just something we made, and people will still like, oh yeah, I like this, but it's like we're not going to get the whole country to come and see it.
Hmm. It's just so strange. It's just like Chris Stuckman. I don't think he's ever made anything before. Call Me
Yeah.
Chris and Selena Spooky Boo. They've never made anything like that. Mark has so much social proof.
Hmm.
Like, Edge of Sleep was the number one show on Amazon Prime for like a week. And it's just
Yeah.
like, the plan worked. It's just like,
Yeah.
how,
I
how,
can see why, as someone who had, like, I work for a book publisher and help out with that stuff and everything. I'm personal assistant for her and everything, and I do multiple things with that, and also just my personal research on that industry, and then seeing the correlations, of course, studying film industry. I can see why they're just like, even though something is proven, you can still be hesitant if you think you're like certain like film directors, yeah, they can go make these hits, and then
Mhm,
after something will happen and they'll get scared or like, yeah, but that was like decades ago, and that kind of thing. That kind
mhm,
of thing can happen. So even if something can prove, or like, and to be fair, not everything is like in it, like can be like put in new media. There's some books that like should never be a film, or doing it
mhm,
in a film is not easy, and vice versa, or like that kind of thing. And
mhm,
so like it's like nothing's really always guaranteed. It's about the amount of work and effort you put into it.
mhm,
Um, so even though I'm like I haven't seen a lot of those films, I've seen clips from them, those other YouTuber films, like especially like the Call Me Chris one.
mhm,
And like I said, they're not usually something I go for. You can kind of tell the lower budget and kind of not as film oriented.
mhm.
They're like the way that they do YouTube videos
Yeah,
clearly shows.
yeah.
And so it's like you have to make that transition into filmmaking. And that is something I think Mark did well in this film
Mhm,
that helped it, because then there's a lot of people, especially now the word of mouth has gone around, which I think was the most important thing with this film. It's
mhm,
like, yeah, he has this many fans, and a portion of them are able to go see it
Mm-hmm.
with theaters and stuff, and if they can get to one. But also, like, it's not like there's only like one or two things in the film where like I was reminded of him playing games,
Mm-hmm.
just because when you get angry, frustrated, and he'll like throw out a little f bomb, and so it's like, oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he does that when he plays games, but it was still in character.
Mm-hmm.
But like I've seen other like YouTubers and stuff do shows and stuff, and it's like it's just an extension of their show.
Yeah.
It's just on YouTube. And so you have to do a lot of things. Same thing with like if a author is making a TV show based off their own work,
Mm-hmm.
you have to be able to understand what needs to get cut, what needs to change, and still hold true to the original.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a really tricky thing. And so I can see why it's people would be like, just because you have this many followers in this medium
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean that's going to translate well to this and get other people who don't already like you.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. So, I think that's a thing that's important about it is like Iron Lung is Iron Lung. It's not the Markiplier movie.
Hmm.
And it's like they're going to see, obviously they're going to see Mark, but like they
Yeah.
understand like there's a lot more care for the story.
Yeah. I think it's an understanding of like this. There's a like we're going to support you in what you're doing and stuff. That's very much a community thing to do, or like a family member or something. You go and support them, even if it's not something that you are likely to go watch and stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
if this was a regular film coming out, the likelihood of me going to see it, right, like opening day, I went and saw it opening day with my sister and brother-in-law. They took me,
Mm-hmm.
and the likelihood of me doing that, probably not. I would have to have word of mouth saying, actually, this is probably something you would enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's that, like supporting someone. But yeah, I think it is understanding of how much Mark is willing to put in the work and put in the effort. And people have watched him on his live streams and the few videos he's put out and can see how much he's working on and see how he's worked with other people who are in filmmaking industry and making sure that this is that way.
Mm-hmm.
So they're understanding like, let's give it that way. And there are um some people that are more film oriented and like, oh yeah, I don't really watch Mark or anything, or I didn't know about it and that kind of thing. I've seen a lot of those on the internet
Mm-hmm.
where they went and took a chance and went and watched it, and people that were more open it and not very Hollywood positive and probably paid off are more kind to the film. There's some reviews that I read that I'm like, you did not go into this in the right headspace of it. Like, let's try this film out. You went into this mindset. I was just like, this is just a little YouTuber's film, and
Mm-hmm.
it's fine. And the few things that people have like pointed out that are like bad about the film are like, you are blowing that way out of proportion. The one thing that briefly about the film, it's about this guy named Simon. He's a convict that's put into the submarine into this ocean of blood. It's in like it's a cosmic horror, so it's like in space. Humanity ran away from Earth, and now like this is like the only planet they really have access to, for reasons that aren't explained. Which is I come back to that, but like, and so they're trying to find new resources as they're kind of dying off and stuff, and so they sent the convict because it's dangerous, and so kind of a death sentence, kind of just you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And he has to come in without any training stuff, so he has to learn as he goes and figure it out. And the longer he's down there, the more he's realizing that there might actually be something down here, and no one's really giving the full answers, and there's some things left in the sub that are like slowly telling him really what's going on, and
Mm-hmm.
just the pressure of the whole situation and everything, and little to no contact with people above the ocean and limited resources in the sub and everything eventually kind of lead to this kind of like high stress situation, and even some moments of like you don't know what's real or not.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really cool. And yeah, with the point about the thing about like the biggest things I've seen that are people critiquing really heavily, or even just like yeah, it's a problem, but it's fine. Most
Mm-hmm.
people that are open-minded say that, but like critics are coming out of the woodworks and saying it's too slow, it's slow paced, it's sluggishly paced. They don't tell you what's going on. Um, and that it's like there's not enough going on. Like it's just this one location. It's ugh. And those are all the point.
Mm-hmm.
It's like somebody asked me after I went and watched the film, they're like, "Hey, how was your day?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I just went and watched this." And they're like, "Is it slow and long? Like it's 2 hours almost on the dot. Like it's two
Mm-hmm.
seven. So like with the credits."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, one, I can't judge. I have a slight bias. I've seen 4 hour long films and been completely fine the whole time. How long was Avatar and Endgame and all those? Like, it's not that uncommon to have 2 hours is kind of the regular,
Yeah.
actually, you
Yeah.
think about it. So it's not long. And also the slow pace of just like, I'm in this ocean, I'm taking pictures of the outside for research, apparently,
Mm-hmm.
and figuring things out. It's like, that's the whole point. You feel it's to feel that isolation, it's to feel that lost, like I don't know what I'm doing and everything, and build that dread of something. I'm probably not alone.
Mm-hmm.
It's building that up because then by the time you get to the second half, once you hit the midpoint, of course, it's very common in stories that like something goes wrong,
Mm-hmm.
and so it builds up the tension again higher than it was, and then especially that last third, everything hits the fan. And
Mm-hmm.
so if it was like keeping your attention the whole time
Mm-hmm.
and keeping high energy, then A, the climax wouldn't feel as high intensity as it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And B, you would just, the whole movie, it would be like a really long roller coaster where you can't get your bearings.
Yeah.
And it's like you need to understand things before you get to the end where everything is confusing and everything. So you at least have your foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And then the whole like you don't know everything, you don't know, you find out bits and pieces as you go along why he's there,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit more about the world the universe he's from, and that kind of thing, and the other people kind of. But it's like that's the point. You shouldn't have to be handheld the whole time. This is something I
Yeah.
have with Hollywood, and I've heard multiple actors and film writers and TV show writers come out and say, yes, like producers and networks and stuff are telling us to repeat in the dialogue exactly what's going on, repeat back what just happened, and almost visually describe what's going on, and like keep everything really simple and everything, and don't leave anything ambiguous because they're
Because
expecting you
audiences
to
are
always
dumb.
be on your phone and not actually watching the movie. And it's like you are feeding a bad habit.
Yeah.
We want
Yeah.
smart people. We want smart movies. And so it's one of those movies that like I want to go watch it again. I'm going to hopefully rope some more people to go watch it with me, but I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I need to watch this again, learn some more things.
Mm-hmm.
It's I've my sister knows horror a little more. It's got a more ambiguous ending.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, that's actually really common in horror is to kind of like not everyone is like, oh yeah, we killed the monster and we're done. Some of
Mm-hmm.
them are just like, this thing's still out there, and that's the good one. It's a good horror, good thriller. I would say like 80% of this movie is more horror or thriller, slash like noir horror, so like kind
Mm-hmm.
of a lighter horror, and then the end gets a little more like
Cosmic.
a little more yeah, like horror, a little bit more
Lovecraftian.
gory and stuff. Yeah, Lovecraftian. But yeah, but it's a really good movie. I would say it like yeah, the slower pace at the beginning is not for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Mark's acting is really good. He's like the only actor.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like anything like Oscar winning, but it was like it fit the film,
Mm-hmm.
and especially for the low budget they had. And I think having it in basically a single location, use your budget wisely,
Yeah.
and it worked really well and everything. And all the craft wise is amazing. And the few little nitpicks, I'm like, every film's gonna have a little nitpick. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
for a basic audience, this is a solid 8 out of 10 for me, if not a 9 out of 10. Like this is a good movie.
Dang.
Like it's good. I was like, I would enjoy this again. He's already said that he's going to make DVDs and Blu-rays and do it completely independent.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I need a Blu-ray like right now. I will sit here and there's certain shots and things that I'm like, I just need to see that on a repeat.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like, as much as I'm a film buff, there's very few movies that I'm like, I will sit here and analyze every single point of a film.
Yeah. It kind
So
of makes you
it's a
wonder.
good movie.
It kind of makes you wonder how long of a break he's actually going to take from filmmaking.
I know I've heard rumors and like some people have like restated things that he said, but you can definitely see he enjoys making films and he
Mm-hmm.
like got some other ideas that he would like to do. So I wouldn't be shocked if he went and got addicted to filmmaking and continued it. But I can tell by the way that Mark is and how much effort. Like he has a standard in his YouTube videos, and now seeing
Mm-hmm.
this film, he has a standard for what he does in his films.
Mm-hmm.
So he's gonna make sure he's gonna make a good film, not
Mm-hmm.
just pump them out just
Yeah.
because.
Yeah. And it's just like, it's done when it's done.
Mm.
And then it's always the final
Yeah.
stretch.
It reminds me of like James Cameron a little bit, where it's like
uh,
he kind of waits for the technology to catch up with him and what he
mm-hmm,
needs to do, or he'll make sure it gets good before
mm-hmm.
he puts it in the theaters and everything. Like this Avatar franchise has been going on for how long?
Yeah, and he
The
doesn't
big
work on
masterpiece.
anything else. Like he
Yeah.
hasn't made a movie like between Avatar and Avatar: The Way of Water. No James Cameron movies. So it's just
No.
like
Or
he.
Christopher Nolan too. He doesn't pump them out. He
I
works on
love
them.
Christopher Nolan movies,
Oh yeah.
and I'm fascinated that he can keep up the pace he does.
Yeah.
Like
He probably has a really good.
he's generally stayed like every 2 years.
Hmm.
I am so excited for the Odyssey. Movies on my
And
list:
yeah, I will watch it.
Schindler's List, The Shining,
Yeah.
probably Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, like Pulp Fiction and Inglorious Bastards.
Yeah.
Like I've never seen any Tarantino. I kind of
I
want
just
to.
watched Inglourious Bastards actually with my dad.
Really?
That was good. I really like that. It's a really fun play on the Western, but like with more modern edge to it. It was really fun.
You mean Hateful Eight?
No, Inglourious Bastards.
Huh.
It felt like a little like the way people talked and acted to a degree was a little more modern. Like it wasn't like absolutely this time period, you know?
Yeah, because that was in World War II, right?
Inglourious Bastards. Oh, am I getting mixed up with someone
I
else?
think you are.
I'm getting mixed up with something. Oh no, I'm
Because
thinking of.
Inglorious Bastards is World War II.
Oh, I'm
Hateful
thinking of
Eight.
Django Unchained.
Oh.
It's like in the same category of like this kind of title
Mm-hmm.
in my brain.
And
I've
it's a
not seen Glorious Bastards yet.
and
My
it's
dad
a
did tell me he wants to watch that.
and it's a Tarantino movie, so you
Yeah,
seen them
it's
all.
a cute movie. But yeah, but also Django Unchained was really good.
Yeah.
There's plenty of blood in that movie, I'll tell you that. Um
And real
I
blood.
see this meme online too, where it's like 90% of the movie, it's like, why did this break the record for most amount of blood? And then the last 10% you're like, this.
Oh, that's why. I get it.
Yeah.
So it's just like,
But
oh.
yeah, so yeah, especially with this film, yeah, like I'm not really one to like this is not a film like unless someone tells me like that they know what I like, I'm
Hmm.
not willing to go see this. But yeah, this one I was like, I actually like a horror film. This is one of my like not top 10 films. I've never actually put that list together. That list would be I don't think I could ever make a top 10. I love
I
my children
I have
much.
a top 100.
But like yeah, it's probably in my top 50
Yeah.
maybe. As long as I don't like, old Disney would take up a lot. There's more than 50 films, but
Hmm.
like, as long as I don't like, as I just pick the few, like, this is a perfect Disney film. As
Hmm.
long as that, or like other, like, I'm a big fan of animation and stuff, and like Star Wars just gets its own spot, just Star Wars.
Yeah.
I can't do every single one, otherwise it'll just take up a whole list.
Hmm.
But yeah, But yeah, Iron Lung is definitely one of my top movies that I've seen, and especially for this year and what I've seen. Like, this year's just begun, but like, if I go the last 12 months, I'm like, this one really stuck with me and really had me like, it's still in my brain, and there's still some shots and stuff in there that was like really good. I know, LeBeau, I know you really like cinematography, like the
Hmm.
cinematography in this movie. Oh my gosh, some of the shots he got, I was like, I need the behind the scenes because I know they built this like 9 ton, I think it was like 9 ton thing that they can move around and stuff and
Hmm.
everything for certain scenes. But the way that the camera is, I'm like,
How the
how
heck
did you
did you
keep your
do that?
how did you where did because I know I heard they locked off the camera in certain angles and stuff, but there's some that like there's a couple of shots where it's like through like back at Simon the console,
Mm.
and I was like, okay, that's got to be a little bit of like some special effects work too, but like I was like, how did you do that? And what's really cool, one of my favorite things that was like my first like favorite like big like oh that was cool
Hmm.
was Mark gets knocked around. I keep saying Mark, but his name's Simon, the character. That's the one thing is like I'm so used. I'm like that's Mark.
Hmm.
It's very much it is that character, but it's easier to say Mark. Anyways, he like is getting knocked around by some the ocean blood is like boiling and crap, so it's like knocking him around. The camera's
Huh.
stationary in the back. Yeah, like like ocean, like even our ocean will have like moments where it's like it'll like inside
Oh,
tidal
yeah.
wave.
Yeah, I
So
guess.
it's kind of doing that. But like this camera's stationary in the back of it. So you're seeing basically the whole sub
Hmm.
and he's in it and he gets jerked around, but your camera is stationary and like it doesn't look like the sub's moving, but he's moving and you're hearing the noise of it getting knocked around. But it was so interesting because it's like it's not like a shaky cam where you're feeling it stuff. You're just feeling the impact of him,
Hmm.
but it's like your brain can't quite understand because it's like but the area around you is stationary, but you're still feeling the movement. And
Yeah.
it really conveyed, I think, really well the idea of like when you're on a boat
Hmm.
or like I've never been underwater like in this capacity, but like I imagine how it would be is like it reminds me of like when you're on a plane
Hmm.
and it's like understand that like you're going like up and down and you're in the air and stuff, but your brain is still like, there's a roof, there's walls, there's a flat floor.
Hmm.
And so you don't really register that you're thousands of feet in the air.
Hmm.
And so it reminded me of that, of just that like, yes, your land is stationary, but you're still feeling that impact.
Hmm.
And it was really cool to watch. Like, yeah, like I said, this is just a good craft movie.
Yeah.
Like it's not an everyone movie, not only because horror is also a smaller niche of people, but like it's just like the best parts of this film that make it just that are like pitch perfect
Hmm.
are the parts of the film that people don't regular audiences don't notice.
Hmm. Well, I mean, this has been the first movie in my entire career that I haven't seen yet. So
So far.
this makes me excited to watch it. Um, and you said you give it like a 9 or 10 or 8 or 9.
Um, I have to see it again before I for sure give it a 9. There's only like one movie off the top of my head, by the way, I could ever give it a 10 out of 10. Like I couldn't actually find a problem with. And yeah,
What is it?
Lawrence of Arabia.
Haven't
You ever
seen
seen
that.
that?
No.
That film is perfect. I knew within like I went and saw that in theaters, and 30 minutes in, I was like, this is really good. Particularly, there's a scene where like you know exactly what's going on in his head, but the movie doesn't explain it to you,
Hmm.
and it was like amazing. And then the next half an hour, by like halfway through the movie, because I think it's like, no, it's pushing, it's probably three or if not, it's like 3 or so hours probably,
Hmm.
if not four. It's a longer movie, but you don't feel it.
Hmm.
It's a big portion of somebody's life, a historical figure that I had no idea about. But anyways, by like halfway through the movie, I knew like this is the best film I will probably likely ever see.
Hmm.
Like it was just phenomenal. But that's the only like 10 out of 10. I could find no problems and not recommend it to someone. Like I recommend it to everyone.
Hmm.
And like other films, I'm like, if I give it a 9 out of 10, it's pretty much perfect. And maybe there's probably just something that's like, well, technically, or like not for everyone. This one, I for sure could say it's an 8 out of 10. It's really good.
Hmm.
It's definitely not for everyone. Like I said, like there are people, for better or for worse, ambiguity is sometimes hard for people.
Hmm.
And for the most part, as long as it's not like a critic or somebody saying like that's bad, it's or legitimately like yeah, it's not telling you enough.
Hmm.
Because there are films that do that, but like it's okay to have some ambiguity and
Hmm.
stuff. It's one of those walking on the razor blade edge there. But like, yeah, it just 8 out of 10. I'm rambling, but like 8 out of 10. This is just a good movie.
Hmm.
It's just fantastic, and I really love it. And the few problems that I have are bordering on nitpicking and stuff. And so it's just like,
And
yeah,
who wants
if
to
you are at
nitpick?
all interested, yeah, if you're at all interested in this kind of movie and stuff, it's really good. Like I would put this up with the same people that would love that loved like Quiet Place and stuff like that.
Yeah. And that's another
But
movie
like
that
I said,
people
a little
don't
bit
seem to
more on the
get.
gore on at the end, but like you gotta like not a, if you, as long as you don't have a weak stomach, you should be fine.
Hmm. Um, Final thoughts before we close.
Yes. Okay, my
Yeah.
so, yeah. So film is great, and I am just as someone who is looking into filmmaking and would love to get involved in that someday, and like kind of follow is kind of in a place where I'm just kind of watching from far and seeing what's going on.
Hmm. Reading the
And
tea
seeing the
leaves.
rise of indie films in particular, I told people I was like, we're kind of recycling like history repeating itself because you go back to like the earliest days of Hollywood,
Hmm.
it was little companies making films and doing all that, and then it got bigger and bigger, and now we're in a state of monopolies.
Hmm.
And mostly for the worst, in my opinion. Like good movies still come out, and there's
Mm-hmm.
like still like like big IPs that I'll still go and watch depending on if I like it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but it's like, but now we're coming back around, and there's so many. I've seen so many more like smaller company films than I've ever had in my life, and now more independent films
Mm-hmm.
that I'm like, it's interesting to see that. And Mark has really pointed this out in one of his YouTube videos, one of his live streams, that he was talking about people were coming up to him and emailing him and telling him like, this is such a shiny beacon of hope,
Mm-hmm.
because it's still, even with us up and coming, it's hard for us to break down those barriers and get through. And
Mm-hmm.
you've now shown us that if we get enough people on our own, we don't have to go to the big people to get our movie into
Mm-hmm.
theaters. We can do it other ways. It'll be hard. Like Mark still has an advantage. He still has a big following that's willing to do that, and
Mm-hmm.
has been doing things like this for years. But it's like, it is possible. You can make a really great film, great looking. Like this doesn't feel like the like hashtag independent film. This feels like
Mm-hmm.
a legit made film. We can make a good film on a smaller budget and make back our money, and do something good for people without having to cater to the big wigs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, this is a shining example of like, this is what filmmaking is, in my opinion.
And it gives me hope for the movie theaters
Yes,
because they're
my
keeping
showing.
so
Yeah,
much more of the ticket
yeah.
sales.
I
It
think
breaks my the profit split breaks my heart. Like,
yeah, it's hard. But yeah, but I think we're seeing a kind of like our generation's kind of coming back to like, we want actually more human contact, please. And
mm-hmm.
like, and that's like, that was a downward spiral for a minute of everyone accidentally or forcibly isolating themselves, and now it's coming back to like, wait, this is good for us.
Yeah.
Let's go do that. Let's go see it in theaters. And like I said, my theaters was packed where I live in the like in Treasure Valley of Idaho, and like and I checked the day I went, every theater for the like every showing for the rest of the week, barring like work hours, was like at least half the tickets were already pre-sold.
That's insane.
And like I looked last night, and this is second weekend, and for independent films, usually you don't get as much.
Mm-hmm.
It was packed last night. I would have had to sit in the front row, like if I went last night. Like that's how packed it's still like doing that. People are still wanting to go to theaters and go talk to people. I've had more opportunities to talk to people in the theater before and after the film starts, and people are craving that like thing. Because I remember we grew up in the golden age of Marvel, and like
Mm-hmm.
everybody went to the movie as soon as they could, and
Mm-hmm.
we all talked about, we all had fun. You joked around with your neighbor and stuff, and we're kind of bringing that back, like kind of like the rise of like physical media is coming back too really
Mm-hmm.
quickly, and movie theaters. So this film is really showing like, as long as you make something good that
Mm-hmm.
people want to watch,
People will show up.
people will come. If you build it, they will come.
Yep. That's a movie I need to talk about.
Oh, that's a good one.
Anyway, with that
Put a
being,
pin in that.
yeah, with that being said, that is our show. Brought to you by Popcorn Fumes and a Prayer. Our executive producer is Penny Pincher. Our director of photography is Cam Speed. First AD was Slade Clapper. Our audio was by Check One Two. Legal was by Sumi Idaria. Makeup was by Make You Pretty. Our marketing wizard was Trey Lur. Stunts were by Fallen Hard. Script notes were from Paige Turner. Our editor was Seymour Takes. Transport was via Miles Away. And Union Matters I handled, as always, by Salary. Thank you so much for watching and or listening. And remember, if it looks good, it was probably done in post.